Welcome, everyone. My name is Susan Phillips. I'm the president of the Asian Chamber of Texas, and I'd like to welcome you to our Be Your Own Boss seminar. And I know, many of you, if you're anything like me, I wonder often what kind of contracts and what kind of businesses that are municipalities and different types of agencies and large organizations and companies, what kind of contracts are actually given and businesses are utilized by these organizations. And that is what inspired this particular event today. We wanted to give you guys some insight into the types of businesses that actually do business with our partners here. And today we have Oncor and a representative from Oncor, Grace Hastings, and Mr. Greg Obar from UNT, University of North Texas System. Leading right in, Greg Obar has been serving as a historically underutilized business program coordinator for the University of North Texas System for 5 years. The UNT system has 4 agencies, all of which are in the top tier in the state of Texas for hub utilization. Before joining UNT system, he was an active duty officer in the U.S. Marine Corps for 24 years. Well, Greg, thank you for your service and thank you for what you're doing for UNT right now. And also speaking on the same panel is Graciela Hastings. Graciela is the Supplier Diversity Manager for Oncor. Under Grace's leadership of Supplier Diversity at Oncor, the company has been recognized as the DFW Minority Supplier Development Council Corporation of the Year in 2015 and the Corporation of the Year by the Women's Business Council Southwest in both 2015 and 2016. Both just amazing accolades. Congratulations on that. And most recently, Grace was recognized by Diversity Plus magazine as a 2020 top 25 women in power impacting diversity. Grace currently serves as the secretary on the Women's Business Council on the Southwest Board of Directors. So congratulations, Graciela, and thank you all for both of you for joining. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and open the floor to both Greg and Graciela to start the conversation. You guys, go ahead, take it over.
Well, thank you so much, Susan, and welcome everyone. I am excited, as is Greg, to share some information with all of the audience members about preparing for opportunities in 2020. It's a new world, and we're going to share some of the insight and knowledge that we have from our industries with you today. So if we could go to the next slide, we'll get started on that. So this first slide, just to give those of you that are not familiar with Oncor a little bit of background, is Oncor's service area. We serve more than 10 million Texans with over 139,000 miles of transmission and distribution lines. That includes 408 communities and 98 counties. So our area has spread and it continues to grow. Our service area does. All this has happened. I've been with the company for 32 years, and 28 of those years have been in supplier diversity. But this slide shows the diversity even of our service area across the state of Texas. So one thing I would say is make sure you know who your potential customers are and where they serve when you're getting ready to do business with them. If we can go to the next slide, please. And I'll let Greg talk about his organization.
Thanks. So as you can see from the slide, UNT system encompasses 4 state agencies. We have UNT, which I'm sure you've heard of. That's located in Denton. That's a student-centered research school with what's closer to 40,000 students now. You can see the amount of degrees that we have there, and we are now a minority-majority student population and one of the few labeled Hispanic serving institutions in the U.S. We also have the Health Science Center, which is located in Fort Worth. And we have UNT Dallas, which, as you might guess, is located in Dallas. And that includes the College of Law, the only public law school in the Dallas area or the North Texas area. And we are the only public school located in the city in Dallas. The one next door is located in Richardson, but ours is in Dallas. And then there's UNT System Administration, which is in downtown Dallas across from our College of Law on Main Street. So as you see there, we can boost, or we have boosted the economic activity in the state with a $5.2 billion each year. I think unfortunately it'll be a little bit less this year and a little bit less next year, but that's on average there. And we've got a bunch of alumni that live in the area, and I bet you there's some on the phone right now as well, or on this call as well. And we award more than 5,000 degrees each year. Next slide, please. And so here's our staff that serves those 4 schools, or 3 schools and a headquarters. It's myself. About 60% of my responsibility is directly related to Hub, and then we have one Hub specialist, and her name is Erica. Those are our phones and our email addresses if you would like to get a hold of us. Next slide, please. So this is back to Grace and I discussing sort of the reason you're here. You know, it's you want to either create a business, or you have already created a business and are looking for that for that edge. So I'll bring Grace back into it, please.
Thank you, Greg. So this slide is just a highlight of what it takes creating a new business. And most of you, I'm sure, are already aware of this. And then the other half of the panel is going to talk over some of the finance and some other things that are very important in creating a new business. But Greg and I wanted to focus on our area of expertise to help you if you're looking at developing a new business. If we could go to the next slide, please. So for those of you that are looking to start a new business in these unique times, there are several things that are really important to get that foundation started before you really do anything with the financing and all of that. First, I would say you need to study the industry that you're targeting. For Greg and I, business is still going on. However, there are certain areas that are more impacted right now, I'll say. The utility construction area, and for Greg as well, construction areas are still really busy, and we're looking for diverse suppliers in those areas. If you're looking at doing some types of business, I'm going to throw out some examples: staffing companies, IT companies, promotional products. You really need to look at that market. Several of those companies were really impacted when this COVID situation hit back in February and March. So look and see if the category you want to go in, make sure the market's not saturated. Besides the environment changing with the pandemic, the market has changed because we are focusing right now on construction projects. IT is a really difficult area to get in for Oncor because of the safety of the electric grid. It's very difficult to get in with an IT solution regulated by the Public Utilities Commission, and there are very high insurance requirements for any IT companies that want to do business with Oncor. And we also can't be, if you've got a new solution, Oncor, I can tell you, is not going to be the company to try out your solution to see how it works. The risk is too high with the grid. So look at the industries that you want to do business with and see where they are and what they're looking for. If you've got something that's tested, that's great, if it's tested and proven. Greg, are those sort of the same things for you? If you'll
yeah, for sure. And then I'll also add, I'll pile on to the part about IT. We have a very robust multi-million-dollar IT internal infrastructure. And when I attend events, right, or I attend things like this, we meet a lot of IT consultants, and there's not a opening by which we just need a consultant without a certain. We need to have the need before we have the vendor to fill that need. And I would add that a lot of the IT procurements we do are done off the DIR, which is the state's Department of Information Resources. And so that is a state agency that holds the majority of the contracts that we use to procure IT services or goods. And so it would be imperative, if you want to do business with the state, to either try to get a contract on the DIR, or partner as a reseller for somebody that's on the DIR. And then, because part of it is we don't go out. So if it's over $25,000 worth of business, we have to go out for bid or use the DIR. We can't do it via the, well, our friend sells this product, or I know a guy who has this product. It's because we work for the state, and we're governed by the state and our rules. It's a very open and auditable process. And so if it's a contract that's greater than 25,000, it's going to go to the DIR or some sort of a formal request for proposal. But for requests for proposals in a IT space, the change loop is faster than our process loop. So we need a solution yesterday. We don't have an IT solution yesterday. We don't have time to send it out for 6 to 8 weeks worth of bidding, right? So that's why I think that door, while I wouldn't say the door is closed, I would say the door is cracked open slightly. So so that's a barrier, I would say, to participation with the state. And then, as Grace said, there's other trades that there is an abundance of. I would submit to you, and Grace and I, we spoke up about this offline. If you're a promotional items firm and you're starting off new, it's going to be an uphill battle to do business with the state, or to do business with the public, or to do business with a lot of folks, because there are a lot of promotional item businesses who already are clawing into a certain share of the market. And unless you have something that differentiates you from your peers, it's going to be hard to get that business, that market share. Grace?
Yes. So the market share, again, is something that you've got to look at. And I'll mention some of the areas where we're really looking for suppliers for Oncor. As people are moving to the state of Texas, new businesses coming to the state of Texas. We're very fortunate that we have an environment that brings new business to this great state of Texas. But we need to keep up that infrastructure. So besides IT that is so overly saturated, there are areas such as construction, like engineering, design, surveying, site preparation, vegetation management. All of those categories support Oncor as we're building and expanding our infrastructure, whether it's at the transmission level or at the distribution levels to look at. But again, if you're looking at those categories, you also need to be, and if we can go to the next slide, this goes right into what we're talking about. You also need to be looking, go back one slide, be looking at understanding the core business and culture of the target customer. So if you're targeting UNT, Greg has mentioned the things that they can go out for bid on and how and their processes. For Oncor, we do not post anything, any types of bids on the internet or out in the market anywhere. That has to do with security reasons with the grid. So we don't share those opportunities publicly, and that's why you've got to know the culture and how the businesses you want to reach out to do their business. So when you sign up with Oncor, we use the councils, the chambers to find our resources if we're lacking in diverse companies in a sourcing initiative. And when you do get the opportunity to participate or to meet one of the Oncor folks, whether it's me, a buyer in supply chain, a contract manager, or one of the end users, which is our engineers, our guys in the field, the construction managers, come to the table with solutions. A lot of suppliers come to us and say, what do you need? I can do it. That doesn't help us. We've already got suppliers that are doing what we need. What have you got that makes you unique and can help Oncor continue to deliver safe, reliable service? I would also say make sure that you've maintained all your certifications, whether that's a hub certification, a minority business certification through one of the councils, registering on our corporate websites. All of those things, even the insurance that you have to have, whether it's for your construction or whether it's for IT, you've got to be sure you have the right amount of insurance to do business with these entities that you're targeting as customers. There's also an opportunity to, you've got to remember, just because you meet somebody doesn't mean that right then you're going to have an opportunity to be included in an RFP. A lot of this is relationship building. So building relationships with Greg and myself and people at our companies or organizations helps us to know who you are, so we're comfortable bringing you to the table to say, I know this company, I know how the CEO runs this business, they do what they say they're going to do. That helps us, because the worst thing that Greg and I can do is bring somebody to the table that's not ready, because that negatively impacts what we're doing with regards to diversity inclusion in our sourcing opportunities. We've got to have folks that are ready to compete. Also learn about changing environments and procedures, because with the COVID, things have changed. So you can't come to the office and just get a meeting with somebody. You can't, even the networking we're doing like now, we can't meet you face to face and bring our buyers in to meet you. So there are different ways of engaging with all of these corporations. And then I would also say, be prepared to pivot. A lot of suppliers were not prepared for what hit us in March and April. And there were some of our MWBEs, and I know for Greg as well, they stepped up to the plate and pivoted the promotional companies to providing PPE equipment, and they were ready to go in March. And they actually were lifesavers for us to provide the materials we needed for our folks in the field that are still out there in the field and operations. But also be sure you're ready to grow. When we come out of this, if the growth continues in Greg's and my companies, are you going to be able to maintain the growth and be ready to grow with us as we're expanding those contracting opportunities? Or if we're moving out to West Texas more and building more out there, are you ready to grow with us? Is that something that you have in your business plan? You need to think about all those things. I'm going to hand it over to Greg to let him share some ideas that he's got as well for his organization.
Yeah, I'll pile on to a couple of things that you said, if that's okay. So, I think we get that a lot, is we get a motivated, intelligent supplier who says, no matter what you need, I'm certain that I can do it. And they will list themselves that way on the state's CMBL website, that's Centralized Master Bidders List. And they'll list all the jobs that they can do. And it's cupcakes and concrete and all the stuff in between. And I would advise you that that's actually going to be that is going to be hurtful to you, because state employees are risk adverse. And so we're not going to seek out somebody who does business in a multitude of unrelated fields, because the theory is because you're a small business, you can't be a master at all of them. Sure, if you are Pepsi, you can make chips and drinks and Snapple, but a small business usually can't be really good at a bunch of non-related events. So we may avoid you based on that alone. Also, I would say you're going to get, I don't know if judge is the right word, but you're going to get curated based on whether or not you have a website and the content of the website and your email addresses linked to the website. So if I get an email from, John the supplier at gmail.com, I'm skeptical, because he or she does not have a website. Because we want to go to your website, we want to learn more about you, and we want to see that you have a history of projects that are like ours and that were completed successfully. And so I recommend that one of the first things you do when you're establishing your business is to make sure you have a good, clean, clear website. And I believe you can get those for relatively inexpensively. And I think we'll talk a little bit later. There's a slide on how to register with the CMBL and how to become a hub supplier with the state, because it does beg to mention that, I'm an advocate for small, diverse suppliers, but my role is exclusively the state of Texas hub. So if you're headquartered in Louisiana, or if you're headquartered in Michigan and you're a small, diverse business in Michigan, my charter does not include trying to expand your market share, because we're trying to keep our tax dollars local and within the state. So that is that's something to know. I think it's important. We don't have a corporate website to register on. That's why I would refer you to the CMBL, and we'll talk a little bit more. But the good news about that is once you're registered on the CMBL, then all 178 state agencies are capable of locating you on that website. And I think later we're going to talk a little bit more, or maybe we're starting now, but the way we're doing business now in the post-pandemic era is different from what we were doing before. I know Grace said, we're not going to outreach events. We're not going to networking events, and we're not hosting them, and our doors are closed. The old, the thing that I miss is, being together, and some of the things that you might be used to doing, where you just go from from business to business, and you just develop relationships. I still think that's critical, and I still think we're going to do that. But as of right now, it's completely on hold. So I can't get you in the door physically to meet somebody because of the way we are now, but I'm happy to try to get you in the door via an email or text with somebody in your field who is looking for the products that you might be able to provide. And the last thing I'll say before I throw it back to Grace is that know who you're looking for when seeking the assistance of a supplier diversity professional like Grace or I. And what I mean by that is this. We've got 15,000 employees, and most of them have a purchasing card, or I'd say half of them have a purchasing card or some way that they are actually going to procure items. So if you contact me and say, hey, I need to meet the person that buys widgets, there's probably 250 people that buy that. And I don't know them all, and they don't know me, and I don't have their email addresses. But if you narrow your search down and say, the richest return on your investment of time, because what you sell is our College of Business or our College of Information Science, or whatever it is you feel would be provide the greatest return. We're all online, we're all state employees, so you can find our names right on the website. If you Google and find the person that you're looking for, I will do a warm handoff to them. Or if you just need the department, I can try to provide you some email addresses. But be as specific as you can in your request for assistance to allow us to help you efficiently. Grace?
Yeah, Greg, that's all great information. I will also add one thing. When you're getting ready, because I know this is about starting a new business or looking at opportunities in areas, don't be afraid of reaching out and partnering with another organization, with another company in joint ventures. If you're not big enough capacity-wise to do something, and a company, whether it's a prime supplier for me, for Oncor, or if it's somebody that's getting ready to do a bid and be included, and they want to include inclusion in their proposal, and you're not quite ready to be the lead on that, of course, make sure that it's structured where your company is safe and your business is not in any the risk. You have to you have to look at the risk when you do a partnership like that. But what I'm saying is, don't always think you have to be the lead in some of these opportunities, because sometimes the second tier or the partnering companies get to know who Oncor is by working with another company. Then as they keep growing, we can offer them an opportunity directly, or they can come to the table and say, hey, we're ready to do more for you. Here's what we've done for you as second tier. We're ready to go be the first tier for another project that comes up. So don't shy away from that as well. That's a way to get your foot in the door sometimes. Everybody can't be the prime for everything. So sometimes there's enough work where you could be a second tier and start building your capacity, getting to know Oncor, and getting to know, getting your bearings on how we do business. Next slide, please. So for my last slide here, I'm going to talk just a little bit about what we need you to do to be ready to do business with Oncor. Once you're certified as a minority hub, woman-owned, whatever the category is, your business, we need you to register with Oncor. There's the website to register. Our procurement team goes to that website and looks for suppliers when we're doing an RFP and we need some more diversity inclusion. And I'll also tell you that we go to the Minority Council and the Women's Council sometimes, and CMBL, the search engine that Greg uses. We go to those to find diverse suppliers as well. Important to say, I know people think it's very time consuming to register with all these companies you want to do business with. But if you don't register and if you don't keep your certifications up to date, that can knock you out of the diversity tracking system. And I don't have time to chase down all of my diverse suppliers to say, you need to update your certifications or you're going to drop off the list. We will send you a notification electronically, but it's up to you to manage those and keep those certifications up to date. Whenever there's any type of audit with the Public Utilities Commission or the GSA, SBA, DOD, any of those organizations, they look to us to see if the records are up to date. And we need you as the diverse supplier to make sure you're providing us with that information and keeping it up to date. Certification resources, Greg's involved with these organizations as well through UNT. The Dallas-Fort Worth Minority Supplier Development Council is part of a national organization with criteria that is nationally recognized to certify diverse companies. Women's Business Council Southwest is the same, nationally part of a national organization with certifications that are recognized nationally. I will say also this for resources. There is the Minority Business Development Agency. They are housed in the same location as the Dallas-Fort Worth Minority Supplier Development Council. If you are looking at starting a business, there are resources through that organization to help you look at business plans, where you get loans and financing, all kinds of great information. And they've been recognized nationally for the work that they do. So, and that organization is there through a grant. So they're doing wonderful work if you need another resource. And I'll hand it back over to Greg so we can go to the next slide.
Hey now, okay, so we currently do not have a supplier portal. We are implementing a program called Payment Works, and it may sound like it's for an AP related thing, and I do believe they have that module, but we are bringing them on board for supplier management. So if you're already involved in that, then you'll end up being in our supplier portal, but if not, we will get you to reach out to me for more information, and I will forward you right on through to our vendor maintenance folks. So, but I think referring back to what I spoke about before, I think what's important is for you to recall that, you know, the business development and the market share assistance that I can provide is conditional upon your you being certified with the state of Texas as a hub. So if you're an MWBE, if you're SDVOB, if you're an SOB, it doesn't matter unless you're also a state of Texas hub as far as getting in with the state agencies. Now that's not necessarily true with the city of Dallas or the cities or the counties or the others, but for the state of Texas, the only accreditation that we accept is to be hub certified. So here are a few, some websites and some emails that you can use as a resource on how to become hub certified. You have to be 51% or more owned by a minority, a female, or service-disabled vet. You have to reside within the great state and do the majority of your business here within the great state. But there's a few other hoops you have to jump through, but that's basically it. So we will get you enrolled in these programs lickety-split. Next slide, please. Or maybe that's our last one.
That is our last slide. So we'll hand it back over to Susan.
Greg, thank you guys both for sharing all this wonderful information. I guess it really does pay attention. It does pay to understand the businesses, the current climate and the current environment. I'm glad you guys shared the particular industries that are saturated and that are actually open. That gives a lot of insight into what kind of areas are growing. So that's inspirational. Thank you for that. But I do have a question for you, and this is for both of you. No, well, actually, Greg and Grace, I mean, Greg mentioned something about introducing, no, I think it was Grace. Grace, you talked about introducing organizations to prime contractors, perhaps, to work together. Do you guys make the introductions? Let's say, you know, I have a small construction company where I do just one particular thing like drywall. Would you help us, you know, make the introduction so we get to meet some of those prime contractors?
For Oncor, there are contracts where there's diversity inclusion in the agreement with the prime contractor.
Right.
So that they have to do a certain percentage with diverse companies. Some of them already are doing it, and they've got diverse suppliers included. But depending on what it is that you provide, there may be an opportunity to introduce you. Like I've got a company, a prime supplier in West Texas right now that was looking for some more additional diverse companies that can do some transportation and logistics work for us. We built a brand new warehouse out there. This company is going to take care of the inventory, and he specifically called me looking for companies that could do that. So in those instances, I definitely try to get you to that prime because I know they are needing to use more diverse suppliers to reach their goals that have been set in the contract. So yes, I can do those introductions again, depending on exactly which category it is.
Gotcha. And Greg?
So that's one of our specialties here. So we do a lot of construction, and that's our strongest area for hub spend is in construction. We've done incredibly well on that, and that's helped to carry us in the areas where we may not do so well, like in scientific equipment and such. So that said, yes, in fact, if you go to my LinkedIn, I recently posted a baby success story where, you know, and this was not construction related, but we took a local supplier and linked her with our communication department, sorry. And then they've been doing business together for years. And then we introduced them with another hub that actually does the marketing items like the stickies they put on the wall, and they do all the signs and all the other stuff. So that sort of stuff occurs a lot. And I think that is where we have our most success. Now within construction, I would say it's pivotal, critical, that whether the pre-bid meeting, the pre-solicitation meeting is in person or online, if you're a trade contractor, you need to attend those for three reasons, let's say. You get to meet the representatives of the owners of the project, so the PMs and the CMs. You get to meet the GCs who are there because they're interested in chasing that work. And then also you get to meet the folks like Grace and I, okay? And then we can put you in our networker and you can get the information from us. There's been a million times where a person will reach out to people like Grace and I and say, I really want to meet the PM from Vaughn Construction or Core Construction or Pickett Construction. And I'll say, why? And they'll say, oh, because I really want to put a bid in on this MEP work that you're doing. And I say, well, you know, we had the pre-bid yesterday, and that person that you want to meet was there. So could you, you know, because then now it's not as effective. So I really say be present. And, you know, these small businesses can't afford a full-time business development human being. I got it. But have an estimator with a free day, or have the owner with a free day, make these pre-solicitation meetings. Anyway.
Great. Thank you for that. In other words, you guys, it's very much about relationships. It's about relationship building. Before you even have the thought about doing something, go out to these different types of events that are available for pre-bids and so forth, and start making those contacts. So thank you, Grace and Greg for that information. And this is where we move on to our next section, where we're going to be talking about for BB&T, our bankers are going to be discussing how to navigate and support you in your that financial aspect of growing your business or starting your business. And we have two representatives from BB&T. We have Nancy St. Jacobs, and Ankit Rajora. Nancy is an experienced business development officer with a demonstrated history of working in the financial services industry for 20 years. She's skilled in commercial lending, business relationship management, strategic planning, business development, and marketing strategy. She's a passionate professional specializing in delivering financial insights to businesses for growth and sustainability. And she's a graduate from the University of Southern Mississippi College of Business. Welcome, Nancy. And we have Ankit, and Ankit, both Ankit and Nancy have served on our panels before, and we're so lucky to have them. Ankit is one of the most highly motivated individuals, helping small businesses with loans and lending to help them grow and improve cash flow. He's very client focused and reliable and responsive. Welcome the both of you. And I'm going to go ahead and open the floor to Ankit. So you can go ahead and start in. Ankit, go ahead and take it away, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Ankit Rajora from BB&T, now Truist. I just wanted to kind of introduce myself and our company a little bit before we could dive into the details. Myself, come from India about 18 years ago, started in finance about 16 years ago. Now I do love finance, and thank you, Ms. Phillips, for mentioning that. I do love this because I get to help small business owners and homeowners on all retail and business perspective to help them with the financing needs. With BB&T, now Truist, we are now Truist Financial Corporation. Just wanted to give you a little background about BB&T. We did merge with SunTrust last year to form the 6th largest financial institution in the United States. And we are now under Truist Financial Corporation. So we do now trade on New York Stock Exchange under the TFC logo, or the symbol for the stock exchange. We are here to present. I do want to give thanks to Asian Chamber of Commerce for having us again to present and give the opportunity to share our knowledge in this field. And we are here to help out small business owners to basically learn, grow, and be prosperous. And so going to my presentation, again, it talks about me, basically, talking about being the business owner. My main opportunity is to help small businesses grow and prosper. So we are helping the small businesses in these times to help open accounts, any kind of lending needs. And under Truist, that's what we do. That's what my title is, and along with Miss Nancy St. Jacobs. So next slide. I do want to thank Ms. Grace and Greg for talking about a lot about the business accounts, establishing the businesses. It does help quite a bit to put in perspective as to how you can go around creating new business entities and to basically start your new business and grow from there. I strongly recommend working with a CPA and or attorney to establish your legal entity. In the finance world, we do deal with a lot of different types of business entities, namely DBAs, doing business as, limited liability companies, incorporation, and limited partnerships. The main difference between the DBA and all the other types of entities where in the sole proprietor doing business as, you are basically doing business under your own social, and all the liability stays with the business owner. On the LLC, incorporated, and the limited partnership, the taxes get paid under the company's tax ID. The liability shifts mostly to the business itself. So that's where it differentiates, and it helps small businesses determine how do you want to pay taxes? How do you want to structure the company? How do you want to have that tax flow or tax liability go from you to the business itself? Also, the liabilities itself, God forbid something happens to the entity. So how do you want to structure your entity or your business where the liability shifts to the business and not somebody's coming after you as an individual, as an owner of that business? I highly recommend always consulting a tax advisor or an attorney for any income tax or business structure questions. Ms. Grace actually mentioned about talking to a lot of chambers have their own people involved in the community where they can help with the business plans. They can help create the business plan, help creating the EINs, know a lot of tax people where they can refer within the community locally to help the business owners establish their new business. So that's where the new businesses come. In today's day and age, we are helping with the small business owners open new accounts, open established credit for the businesses to grow, to have their finances in the order where in the future, if they need any financing needs, they can come to any bank, whether it be BB&T, now Truist, or any other big financial institutions, to take the opportunities and the lending to where they can either you manage the credit for cash flow purposes, buy equipment, buy any kind of for like office supplies needs. So think about what all the business needs and where BB&T, now Truist, or any other financial institution can help you get there, get those loans, get those assets, even help with the small business side where we can actually get you to work with the SBA and help you with the financing to start your business. So there's a lot of options out there, and just have to talk to somebody, talk with your chambers, talk to the tax advisors, talk to the attorneys, and they can help you set up the business entity. The main thing I wanted to talk about, next slide, is going to be about the business credit. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very imperative that you establish a credit from the beginning for the business. It is very important because as the way you build your own credit, you build business credit, and that what supports you to get any lines, any loans that you need for the business. All business loans, lines, credit cards require a guarantor. Who is a guarantor? As a business owner, you as an individual or any of the parties who have vested interest in that business is called a guarantor, is called the owner of the business. Typically, when you go to the banks for any kind of lending needs, banks will require anybody who owns more than 20% interest in the business to guarantee the loan or the line themselves. So it is good to have your own credit solid, maintaining your own personal credit, but it is also good to have business credit, because when you develop the business credit, when we give you the financing on the business, that financing stays on the business credit. That does not transfer over to the personal credit unless the business closes, unless you stop paying on that loan or line that you guaranteed on. And that is very important, because when you want to finance something personally, then this business credit is going to stay on the business side. It is not going to impact your personal debt to income ratio. What are the different credit options? What are the different credit options for business? Credit cards. And this is where you have the best options to start building your credit. This is the best way to start building business credit. We also have secured loans. We have equipment loans, SBA guarantee loans, unsecured loans, or unsecured lines of credits. The SBA guarantee loans, BB&T, now Truist, is a big partner with SBA. And we help with the way we underwrite the loan. We know that you will qualify for the SBA loan. That is, so we guarantee once we actually do put you through our underwriting process, we know that you will go through the SBA. That's how we underwrite the loans ourselves. So next slide. Wanted to talk about more what we can help you. We all know that these are different times. Look at us doing these presentations virtually, not face-to-face in a conference room setting. And this is the times we are in. Due to COVID, a lot of things have changed, even in the financing industry. A lot of big banks actually today have stopped lending to small business owners or small businesses, period. They are not doing any loans. They're not doing any lines of credits because it is high risk. We are in a high risk credit environment. However, Truist, being a community bank, we still want to help our clients. We still want to help our communities survive and thrive. And we want to help our small business partners where we can help them with the lines, loans, credit cards of any needs. we are still offering loans. We're still offering unsecured loans. We are still offering equipment financing for new businesses. We are still offering lines of credits for cash flows, unsecured lines of credits. We do offer a quick loan and line turnaround, typically closed within 3 to 4 business days. You want to think about this because when things change in your life, when things change in your business and you go to a bank, ladies and gentlemen, things have already taken a turn for the worse. You may not qualify. When you are starting a business, when you qualify, when you know that the bank is offering you that, take it. Build the business credit, build your build your company where you want to be thriving 6, 8, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. You don't want to be that business that opens and shuts door in 2 years. That is the most common conception on the businesses. The businesses fail in the first 2 years. So you want to be very financially sound. You want to work with the bank that is going to help you get there. Typically with BB&T now Truist, we do require a deposit account when we actually help you with the lending for any funding on those loans. So think about how you're going to build your credit. Think about who your banker is. Have that conversation with your banker. Have that conversation about credit. Build that niche. Build that credit for the business where it is only in the business name. Make sure that your bankers advise you and are very clear on letting you know that when they are doing this loan line, it is going to stay in the business name and it's not going to be reflected on your personal credit. There's a lot that goes in the credit aspect. Next slide. This is the last slide that I do want to really touch on, where it shows you a difference between a line and a loan. What is a line? A line is basically a cash flow need item. So it's an unsecured line of credit. It is something that the bank is going to give you based on your cash flow, based on how the guarantors are, how good the business cash flows. There's no guarantee needed. At BB&T now Truist, we do still offer lines, unsecured lines, where up to $50,000. We can go higher. We can go up to $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 where we can actually help you with that particular line. But the line is, keep in mind, it is supposed to be used as an actual cash flow perspective, not to carry the balances, because it is kind of like a credit card. The higher the limit you use, the worse impact it's going to have on your credit. Payment terms, interest only with no prepayment penalty. You can pay off the line and then have it available again. At BB&T now Truist, we review and renew the lines every 3 years. We want to make sure that the business is cash flowing. We want to make sure that the business is still active. We want to make sure that the guarantors have still good credit to be able to guarantee the loan in the future in case they have to shut down the doors for any reason. Look at how many businesses shut down the doors recently. I just found out from Richardson Chamber of Commerce, there were over 70 restaurants that closed just recently due to COVID-19. So think about it. These lines can help you with that cash flow during these tough times. On the loans, we can actually offer you loans up to $250,000 based on the need and the qualification. This $250,000 we can do for equipment financing, for cash flow, for any vehicle stock like fleet purchase. You want to buy trucks for your business? We can help you with that through equipment financing under this $250,000. We can even help you finance a building for your new office, new location under that $250,000 financing. Loan terms are up to 5 years, but they can also go higher, up to 7 or 8 years, depending upon how big the loan is. It is a fully amortized principal and interest loan where we can help you structure this loan for the next 5 or 7 years. Again, there's no prepayment penalty with BB&T. So this is, again, I just want to emphasize emphasize to our people, our attendees in here today, it is very important. Just the way you worked hard over the years to build your own credit, you will be working to build the business credit. It takes time, and to start easily, I would recommend a business credit card and utilize it just the way you would utilize a personal credit card, so that it helps you build the business score. There is always a business score and your personal score to take it into perspective for any lending needs, any account needs that for the business side. That's all I have. I do want to pass this on now to Miss Nancy St. Jacobs. She is going to talk more about she helps a lot of veterans, minority, small business owners, and she is a great valuable partner to me and our bank, and we appreciate all her work. Nancy, you're on mute.
Great. Thank you, Ankit. Well, I'm pretty excited to talk a little bit about what my role entails with helping business owners. Primarily, every bank has to address the issue of the underserved market wherever they have a presence. And BB&T did something a little different before we were even called Truist. We developed a program that we knew we needed to address those issues that were related to the minority community. And we call that our business community responsiveness. We could go to slide 1, please. Thank you. So our business community responsiveness talks a little bit about Truist being committed to helping build better lives through our community relationships and our partnerships. And what that looks like, I will show you a little bit more on the next slide. When I mentioned the community business development, that relates to people, partnerships, and programs that we have that address the needs of the underserved markets. You might ask, what does that mean, the underserved market? Minority business owners, women business owners, and veteran business owners had been ignored for many years. Historically, that was the way that business was done, and those types of business owners did not receive the same information, resources, or availability that some other business owners did. So this Community Reinvestment Act was enacted, and that enabled business owners who fit those categories to have access to everything that any other business owner did, that everyone would receive information to help them build their business. They would have access to banking products. They would have access to all the programs that were available. So the partnerships that we are able to work with, and I'm proud to say I work with all of them, and we work very well to provide workshops and so forth for business owners to be better educated in understanding, where do I start? How do I get started? And most times when I am introduced to a small business owner, whether it's through a workshop or through a referral or someone in our branches, I sit down with them and start from the beginning, incorporating some of the things that Greg talked about, because sometimes folks will have a business idea, but it isn't necessarily something that is a business that's needed at that time. And I think Grace hit on that as well. We talk about those things because through SBA, we are also given partnerships at no service to business owners through the SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Centers, and those are all over. You have them in Tarrant County, Denton County, and Dallas County, and Collin County. Those folks make themselves available to help you with everything related to growing your business, developing that business, pointing you to other resources and representatives in the community that can help with the business. SCORE, I love SCORE. Those are Service Corps of retired executives. And some of those executives are from some of the Fortune 500 companies that you're familiar with. Those folks have owned companies of their own. They have been executives or they've been business owners. CFOs, and they have a lot of experience to help you with understanding the type of business that you have. So you're normally paired with someone who can speak to the type of industry that you're in. When they match you with someone, that person is called your coach. You are able to sit down with them at any appointed time. You guys would set an appointment, and SCORE spends the time to help you develop your business. And quite frankly, I work with them in doing workshops, but they're great partners in allowing me to see what the work that they've done, because they refer clients to me to work with them from a banking perspective after they have coached them enough to say, you can leave the nest now, little birdie, you're on your own. And from that point on, I can steer them to other resources and other partners who can help them even more. The economic development centers, I work with them to understand what's coming into our communities, what new businesses are coming, what new businesses are hiring, what businesses are out there in the community where we have a presence as Truist, and we have a retail branch there. What kind of businesses are here, and how can we help them by either helping our small business owners integrate with them or helping their employees? And our chambers of commerce are my best partners, because we get to work with the business owners who utilize the services of the chambers. Like today, doing a workshop, doing a symposium sometimes. And that's providing education that you wouldn't get any other place. I mean, you can go to an online platform. You can go to a library. You can pick up a book. But there's nothing like hearing it directly from the resources, and that's people who deal with this on a day-to-day basis. So kudos to the chambers. And the programs that community business development helps are things such as the workshops that we do through all of the entities that I mentioned earlier, and some that we do ourselves. We do those things through our partnerships. The online educational resources, not only does BB&T, now Truist, offer those from our online platform, but we also work with the city of Dallas, the city of Fort Worth, the city of Arlington. I personally work with them, and the city of DeSoto. We work with those entities so that we are aware of the online education resources that they offer. They also offer workshops. In those workshops, we do credit classes for them. We do how to register your business, answer questions related to structuring. How should I structure my business? When do I need to speak with a CPA? Things of that nature. There are so many questions that you can get answered when you utilize those educational resources through all of the entities out there that are available for you. And then we have one-on-one guidance and advising. And I like to say that Ankit and I are both trusted advisors. We're there to answer questions that folks have that they just haven't had an answer to. And if we don't have the answer, we have a partner who can help, and we get the answer from them. So next slide, please. And CRA and Truist, to give you a little bit of history. There was a time when, as I mentioned earlier, that lending didn't always happen in every area. And the government said that isn't fair, it isn't right, so we must do something about it. And out of that discussion came the Community Reinvestment Act. BB&T, now Truist, did not take that very lightly and say, okay, we will support it. We will give you a check for $200,000. Now go and do what you need to do with that. No. BB&T said, we'll have an entire department that's dedicated to assisting the underserved market. So under that comes my role. And my role is completely dedicated to helping minorities, women, and veterans in business. So as again, historically, minority businesses suffered from a lack of information, resources, and availability. And BB&T addressed that not just by funding those programs financially, but the organization hired a role such as mine to go out and do education, to sit and work with business owners one-on-one to help them to achieve the goals that they're looking to achieve. If they're not there yet, I work with other partners in the community to help them get there. Most times folks will ask me, do I have a CPA that I work with? And I have several CPAs that I work with, because different CPAs work with clients on a different level, and BB&T has entrusted me to be a trusted advisor for small business clients to help them reach those goals by partnering with other folks in the community who can add value to those small businesses. And the next slide. And because of the very nature of our culture at BB&T, now Truist, we don't just talk about it. We literally have meetings every Friday with one of our senior executives to talk about what are we doing in the community? How are we building our communities? How are we helping business owners? Because if we can help those businesses and families thrive, our economy will be impacted. We will grow. And we've seen that here in Texas. Several businesses want to move to Texas. They have so much support that it's encouraging more and more business owners to move their businesses from other places in the country to Texas. And I'm very proud of that. So as an institution, we come alongside those partners. We don't just say we do it, we actually do it. And we are called on the carpet for that regularly. I meet with my boss, in fact, every Monday morning to talk about what businesses will I meet with, what organizations will I lend my services and my tools and my experience to. And we are there dedicated to supporting minority and women business enterprises. And next slide. So our commitment, Truist is committed to serving business clients to help them with their operations through economic prosperity, as well as through challenging times and the downturns in the economy. And the next slide. So the bottom line is this. We all know that the backbone and foundation of our economy is small business. And to tell you how Truist really and truly has built a company based on that premise is in 1872, BB&T came out of a foundation of starting through small businesses. After the Civil War in the Carolinas, businesses had failed. And two gentlemen, one being our founder, said, we must restart the economy. How will we do that? We'll have to help the farmers. So they gave loans to the tobacco farmers and the rice plantations to say, hey, we have to get things going again. And they did. Out of that, small business became the foundation of our bank. From there, we were able to build a bank and help other businesses. And then we grew up and down the Eastern Seaboard. So that's a little bit about how we did that. Think about other institutions who have done the same. So this is how banking gets started. You help the small business owners because that's how you build your community, the economy of your community. So when financial institutions pour back into their communities where they have a presence, and that means where they have branches, you're investing in that community. And it's in our best interest, and it's in everyone's best interest to help the families and the businesses be successful and thrive. So we provide the proper advice, Ankit and I and all of our peers, and the appropriate banking solutions to help those business owners achieve their goals, to be sustainable and to grow. So I don't think I have another slide. I think that was the end of that. And we mean what we say. It's passionate for me to do the work that I get to do. I say I'm privileged to help small business owners, and it gives me a thrill to see them go from perhaps discouraged or just starting to successful, and they pour into another business. So I always say, once we help you and you're on level ground, please help another business owner to understand how you were started and help them get their footing. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, Nancy, that pay it forward message is something that I live by, and I think, you know, that goes a long way. And if I must say, with, you know, you and Ankit, you know, representing, and forgive me for calling it just BB&T, it's BB&T Truist, so forgive me. But that said, I mean, I have personal experience with, you know, you and your organization and people within your organization that we work with. And you are so minority and small business focused. It is truly, woven into your culture, and that is what you stand by. And I appreciate it. And I hope that the audience here knows your heart is in it. And I feel it every time that I speak with you guys and engage with y'all. And I appreciate you so much. And, especially in this day and age, when the whole, we're focusing on diversity and the minority, representation and equity in business, and in COVID times, as we're trying to it's not over yet. We're still going through the runs of, some of us are still in the devastation. There's still going to be some devastation going forward. So there's going to be a lot of rebuilding going on. And I know that you guys are the right partners to be there for our members and for our new businesses or old businesses that are trying to reestablish themselves. So, I invite all of our partners here, or just our attendees here, please, I'm happy to answer questions, but these are partners. Everybody here that has presented here are just the best kind of people that want to see your business thrive. And they will do everything in their power to make sure that you're given the right resources to do it. So that said, I'm going to thank you, Ankit and Nancy, for your input. But we are going to go ahead and move on to the last leg of our seminar here. And I want to introduce a really dynamic individual. She's got more energy than I've ever seen before. And she's just a hoot to speak with and engage with. I want to introduce Karen Shamay. Karen is with Insperity, and she works with C-suite executives who want to turn their company into a top employer in their industry. With her help, her clients have peace of mind, can protect their bottom line, and scale sustainably. With her help, her clients have a Fortune 500 infrastructure long before they are a Fortune 500 company. And her ultimate goal is to leave you better off than before you met. Now, whether you end up doing business with her or not, she's there to help you. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce Karen. Karen, come on board. I think you might be on mute, Karen.
Okay, so I'm number 4 or 5. That's me. I've taken over the reins. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope you're all doing well. I'm loving the fact that the heat wave broke, and so I'm hoping everybody else is enjoying it a little bit as well. I am going to run through this kind of quickly because I want to make sure that we honor everybody's time and we can end on time. So if I go through this too quickly, you will be getting my contact information. Feel free to get a hold of me, and I will be happy to go over anything that you missed or wasn't clear in detail. So please don't hesitate to get a hold of me. What I'm going to talk about is the business life cycle. And for all small business owners, you need to know this and what to expect, what happens, what you're looking at, and where to start asking for help. So the first part is going to be inflection points, and it will become more clear when the rest of the pictures show up. But these are going to be inflection points. These are going to be the points in your business where things might come up, you hit a stall. Once you hit that stall, this is generally where it's going to happen, and this is where you're going to start looking for partners for help. So the general business life cycle kind of looks like this. You start off small, and then you grow and you grow and you grow, and at some point you have to make a choice. Do you keep growing or do you exit? The two things that we're going to be looking at are talent versus risk. So over here is all of your people, how they affect your business, what they do. And here is everything that's going to be affecting your bottom line or your wallet or your pocket, depending on how big you are. As an entrepreneur, what your goal is achieving viability. And that's also your first challenge, achieving viability. Will you stay in business or will you fall apart? I think everybody knows the first 5 years are the most important in a small business. Now, once you start dealing with people, those people outside of your family, so once you start hiring people outside of mom, dad, aunts, uncles, sisters, and brothers, you're going to have to look at the culture. Every organization has a culture, whether it's by design or by default. If you are going to be a good leader, you want to create a design rather than default to whatever happens, because if you do that, your people will be very unhappy. So your goal is to create a culture that that makes people want to come to work with you. Administrative infrastructure. This is where you have to deal with onboarding, payroll, all of the documents, the I-9s, the W-2s, the W-4s, all of that has to be in place and taken care of one way or the other at this stage. The next area is emerging growth. So you've made it, congratulations. You've gone past 5 years and now you're starting to scale. Emerging growth, your number one challenge is accelerating your growth. You want to actually move up in trajectory rather than staying flat. Right here, between achieving viability and accelerating growth is generally where you're going to see an inflection point. Either your culture might need some help or the administrative infrastructure needs to be scaled up. So who's running your payroll? Who's doing all your year-end taxes? All of that needs to be in place in order for you to move beyond this first inflection point. The next one, gaining a talent advantage. So the human beings that you are hiring into your organization, how do you get the best? What do you need in place in order to attract, retain, and maintain the best people? Because you might be able to attract them, but if you don't have the things in place that employees want, benefits, 401ks, training and development, they might not stay. So your goal here is to make sure that the things are in place that will keep good talent there and attract them into your business. And net profit protection. Right around this inflection point is when you need to start worrying about your bottom line. Do you have workers' comp in place? I know Texas doesn't mandate it. That's a whole other discussion. But do you have workers' comp in place? Do you have all of your liability, employer practices liability insurance in place? Everything that can sink your ship if something goes wrong. Sustainable growth. So you've grown. Congratulations, you're actually at scale and you may want to continue scaling. Your challenge is getting there and staying there. What you're going to be dealing with is organizational alignment. So your leadership, are they all aligned on the mission, vision, and values of the company? Do you have disagreement among the ranks? Do you have succession planning in place for when a leader leaves? Is someone there to take over? You're also looking at leadership development. A lot of people promote managers. They don't promote leaders. And this is a very important distinction. A manager will never be able to get the best out of their people. You need to train leaders. Leadership is a trainable talent, but it needs to be acquired by someone who actually wants the position. And those are the people who will get the best out of your employees and ensure that, going back to culture, the culture remains strong and people want to keep coming to work. Next, we have the exit. You've got a redefinition point. Are you going to deal with succession? If so, does that mean you're leaving the business and handing it off to a family member? Or does that mean that you're merging and going through an M&A? If you're going through an M&A, you're going to have to look at all kinds of banking situations, brokers, who's going to take over the business, what kind of things do you want to have in place before the business is sold in order to give you peace of mind about that. But this is where you're going to have the big decision of, what do we do? And eventually, everyone gets to exit. Even if you've had the business forever, you're 95 years old and you're on your deathbed, right? The reality is there's always an exit. How are you planning for that exit? And the things you want to worry about and consider in that area is employee engagement. I work with a lot of private equity firms, people who do mergers and acquisitions, and I can tell you that if you don't have employee engagement, your business is pretty much worthless, because the human beings that you have hired to work in your business are the ones who will make or break it. So if you have a bad culture, if you don't have succession planning, if your organization isn't aligned, that will decrease the value of your business, because whoever is buying it in an M&A understands that they're going to have to do a lot of work in order to get your business to a profitability level. And then compensation and incentives. Do you have those in place? What do they look like? How do you reward your people outside of here's your paycheck? Because the reality is, if we're being honest, paychecks are great. There's nothing wrong with getting a lot of money, but a lot of money won't keep people happy. So beyond paychecks, what are you doing? Do you have PTO in place? Do you give them vacations? Do you give them training and development? Is there a way for them to grow within the organization? Is there a clear path? There are a lot of things that go along with compensation and incentives that go beyond just the dollar amount that you're putting into people's wallets. And that's a very important thing to know. I think I've covered everything. Yes, I have. So that was pretty much, in a nutshell, the business life cycle. And I hope that you all keep this in mind as you're growing your business, especially the inflection points, the points right here between the culture and design, gaining talent, wherever you're going to run into hurdles. Know who your partners are ahead of time. You're an entrepreneur. Start planning on who you want to partner with, or what kind of options you want to have available, and what those look like, so you're not looking for them in a panic once you get to an inflection point. It's always good to plan ahead.
Karen, that's amazing. These are things that most of us, I mean, as just new in that are starting our businesses, we don't think that far ahead. And I think you've mapped this out quite well, and it's very insightful, because I mean, this at every stage you're thinking about, you need to be thinking ahead. You need to be thinking ahead, because you put so much energy into putting this this business together. The last thing you want to do is have it fail. And making sure that all the components, including your people, are accounted for, and everything aligns well. It's just part of the business plan that needs to be incorporated in a big way, in a very big way. And thank you so much for sharing that, everybody. That's Karen with Insperity. Appreciate your contribution today, and thank you to all of our panelists for coming today, to Graciela, to Greg, Ankit, Nancy, and of course Karen. You guys are amazing, and we're so thankful to have you all as partners, and your time today was so valuable, and I hope that everybody was able to get a lot out of this. We covered a lot of ground today, and we still have more. I mean, these are just people that are here for your resources to help you. So, we'll share their contact information after the session is over. And but I want to leave you on a couple things. I hope that all of you were enlightened and inspired by what this session brought, and hopefully it'll bring about some I want to say inspiration, but maybe it will bring about your want in order to open a new business. That was the whole thought of it. But if you liked what we had shared with you today, and you're thinking about starting a business, I want to share with you one of our big programs that we're working with, or we actually developed with our the foundation, the Mead Center. It's the Foundations of Entrepreneurship. It's a virtual class this year, starting from October 1st through November 19th on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8:30. And the information is right here. And this will be included in our post session informational email that will be sent out to you guys. But, I just wanted to thank you all for coming. And also, regarding the Asian Chamber of Texas, I mean, you see what kind of wonderful partners we have. And you know that we have amazing programs and webinars to share with you on everything from business to social advocacy, to everything that we can, that we can probably provide in terms of supporting you as individual, and you as a business owner, and part of our community as well, and representing. But that said, it's like I want to also encourage you, if you're thinking about joining the chamber. We have, Divya, can you just pull up that little one slide with the membership? You can visit our website, and we have various levels of membership that you can you can look into, and with, you know, a robust offering of benefits associated with each different level of membership. So I invite you guys to check it out on our website, and also don't be shy about reaching out to us individually. You know, send us an email, and we will get back to you, and we'll be able to share with you more information about the chamber and how you can get involved with the chamber and part of our community in different ways. Look forward to hearing from you. And on that note, I'm going to close. Thank you all for joining us, and join us next time. Take care.